Hi, my name is Vanessa Leck. Thank you for joining us today. With me today, I have Dwayne Kimble. I'm a big fan of his from his YouTube channel. Very popular, by the way. And if you're a veteran or a military spouse or someone in the military community, like an active duty service member, you might want to check it out because it is interesting, if nothing else. I've learned quite a lot. Even though many of the videos don't apply to me, I found them to be interesting, especially some of the testimonial videos where I get to listen to other military veterans' life stories. So thank you for being with me today, Dwayne. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. This is what folders used to look like when I first started, and veterans will have to thumb through each page.
Okay.
And this is 4 years of information.
That'll be a good thumbnail.
And this is 2 volumes. I've seen these be 20.
Wow.
Now, when veterans send stuff in, somebody has to look through that.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be like. Now it's all electronic. It makes it a little bit easier. But if you sit in 1,000 pages, it's like looking through a needle in a haystack. Okay. So imagine having to look through this. You're on a quota and you're trying to, do the right thing.
Why isn't it digitized to make it to where you can use it? It is.
Now it is. Now it is.
Now it is. They finally figured out how to use a computer.
Right. But when I came in, you get a folder, you have like 10 of these on your desk.
Okay.
You just sit there and you with a Sharpie with one of those little rubber things on it. Okay. And you're flipping through.
And what year was it again when you started? What year was that?
June 6, 2009.
2009.
I started. I got there at 7:45 a.m. in the morning because I wanted to be early.
God, you were like way too good of a memory.
I sat in a room, waited on HR to come get me. Then I went to another room, and then my VA experience started.
Your memory's too good. My memory is not that good. Fortunately, I have been able to block out some memories of working there. All right. So what year did you exit the organization and retire out?
I got approved October 2018.
2018. Okay. Got it. Wow. So that's fairly recent then. You really just left not too long ago. Yeah. That's very recent. Yeah. Much more recent.
And I felt bad. I felt bad because I always felt like I was a liberator. And I was like, man, I'm letting veterans down because when a claim came across my desk and I was telling someone on YouTube and left a comment, everybody that came across my desk initially, especially the last few years, and this is the way I looked at it, everybody was 100% until I found information where I couldn't give them 100%. Then they went to 90 or 80 or whatever, because they still have guidelines to follow. And that's the way I looked at it, because this information, the veteran can speak for themselves. This information has to speak for them, and you have to go through and look at it. And I did YouTube videos about my VA claim experience as a VA employee and going through the appeals process and what I did. So I do a lot of my videos on that information so people don't fall into the same mishaps that I did. Some veterans get it. Some don't, some will say, oh, well, the VA have to do this. They have to do that. They're human. They're under these time constraints that we talked about. So what can you do as the veteran to help speed that process along when it comes to your claim?
I just think, as being on both sides of it, having worked at the VA, hearing your VBA experience, people, and also being a veteran, I just think it just seems super overwhelming to deal with this. It really does, especially maybe not if you have one health problem that is fairly minor, right? But if you have rather catastrophic health problems, you know what I mean? You're not cognitively functioning 100%. This seems super overwhelming. I mean, I feel that I am one of the luckier veterans, and just listening to this, you are an expert at this because you worked there forever, but it's and I'm pretty great at paperwork, but it's overwhelming just thinking about having to look into all of these regulations and then figure out how to gain a working knowledge of it. It is a lot.
And you know why it's so overwhelming? Because even when I was doing my claim early on, I was educated on the process, even though I was going through training for this. And even now, talking with clients, when I talk to people and they say the biggest claim out there that I've seen, people talk about sleep apnea. The first thing I ask them, I say, well, anything that you're claiming, where does it fall under the 5 ways of service connection? And you would be amazed of how many veterans don't even know what the 5 ways of service connection is. Now, it's actually one more, 6, like 1151 claim that you would see more so on the VHA side. But the main ones that a lot
Which
of
is
them,
malpractice, right?
yeah, yeah, there you
I
go.
just learned about this recently.
Yeah,
I found out by accident.
Yeah. So they don't understand what the 5 ways of service connection is. So they say, oh, I went to VHA, went to the hospital, which is under VHA, and I got diagnosed. Oh, let me go over here on VBA side and file a claim. Well, it doesn't work that way. It does sometimes, but at that diagnosis, where does it fall under the 5 ways of service connection? That was my first YouTube video. And I started thinking, I have a vision board, and I started thinking, how can I educate veterans? You know, I don't want to represent veterans. I don't want to advise them. I want to educate them. And that's what my business does. And if you look at my YouTube channels, back last September, I did a 5-part video, 5 videos back to back from start to finish of how you do the claim process works. And those videos don't get a lot of watch time. And I'm like, that's the blueprint. We just finished our first annual veteran town hall, those 5 videos. And I was like, you know, how can I explain this process? And so I thought that the videos would get more views because I'm like, this is sort of like the blueprint. Like, hey, you know, this is the claims process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And along the way, I talked about some of the things, some of my pitfalls. So we just wrapped up our first annual veteran town hall event. The first event was asking veterans questions. What are some of the issues that you're having, that you're seeing within the VA? You know, getting feedback from them. The second one, I get a lot of people say, hey, man, I watched all your videos. So I want to test that knowledge. So I did a quiz, a 30-question quiz. And it was really fun and educational at the same time, you know. And then the third one was I made a mock claim. Okay. It took me about 8 hours. I did a mock John Doe DD-214. We put together a John Doe service treatment records. We did some John Doe training DBQs, intent to file, and all this stuff. And then I asked about 14 questions. So I wanted them to give them a small taste of what RVSRs look at when they're, you know, when they're completing a rating decision. And then I had them to send it back to us, and then we talked about it. And some people got it right, some questions wrong. Some people got the questions right, some got it wrong. But it wasn't more so, oh, you got this wrong, or you got this right, you know, anything like that. But just the feeling of what raters go through on a small scale when they're putting together a rating decision.